Tribe, I become invincible with my 10,000 times bonus from the start. Chapter 142, The Second Crown Soldiers. The effects of these two buildings were simple and crude, similar to the attributes that Li Cheng had seen in the armory. He was now absolutely sure that these were the most advanced buildings. Following that, he began his tasks. First, he stored all his resources in the profound storage. Instantly, the resources that were piled up like a mountain in his territory were emptied, leaving the entire territory empty and wide open. Li Cheng had also destroyed all the large warehouses. Next was to generate magic power, which Li Cheng set to be maintained at 500 billion magic power. This way, the profound energy extractor would automatically convert crystals into magic power. After dealing with these two, Li Cheng built the last few new buildings. Royal Magic Academy, Imperial Training Ground of the Profound Empire, Imperial Library of the Profound Empire. After building these three buildings, Li Cheng started to level them up. Then, he placed these three buildings on the east side of his territory. At this time, the sun had just risen. Under the illumination of the sun, these buildings also emitted azure blue light. After he finished building them, Li Cheng checked their attributes. Royal Magic Academy. Description: The Royal Magic Academy of the Profound Empire. You can study all kinds of research projects related to magic here. Level 10. Current research projects: none. Resident hero: none. Research method: to be determined. Similar to the Combat Academy, the Magic Academy also needed resident heroes. There were also several research methods. When he saw this, Li Cheng looked at the research projects that he could choose. 1. Fire Magic Attack, Level 1 Fire Magic Attack plus 30%. 2. Wind Magic Attack, Level 1 Wind Magic Attack plus 30%. 3. Lightning Magic Attack, Level 1 Lightning Magic Attack plus 30%. 4. Fire Magic Resistance, Level 1 Fire Magic Resistance plus 8%. 15. Healing Magic Affinity, Level 1 Healing Magic Effect plus 30%. There were a total of 15 research courses that could be selected, and almost all magic courses were included. Through these research courses, the magic attack and resistance of each element of his troops could be increased by a lot. Moreover, each course could be maxed out to level 10. Every time one leveled up, the increase would follow accordingly. In other words, after these levels were reached, all magic damage and healing effects could be increased by 300%. Moreover, all kinds of resistances could also be increased by 80%. This effect was really too strong. This meant that all magic damage received by Li Cheng's troops would only be reduced to 20%. If coupled with some equipment that could stack magic resistance, it could reach 100%. In that case, they would be completely immune to magic damage. When he thought of this, Li Cheng opened the Resident Hero page and realized that Luna's research efficiency was still the highest. Hence, Li Cheng chose her to conduct his research. Next were the attributes of the remaining two buildings. Imperial Training Ground of the Profound Empire. Description: the training ground used by the Profound Empire's imperial family to nurture elite troops. This training ground can simulate real battlefield environments and provide a huge amount of experience points for the troops. Level 10. Trainable troops, 0/2 million. Imperial Library of the Profound Empire. Description: the Imperial Library of the Profound Empire has a collection of books from the entire continent. This training ground can easily improve the skills of the troops. Level 10. Current research skills: none. Resident heroes: none. Research method: to be determined. These two buildings resulted from the basic training ground and the Combat Academy being filled to the max. The Imperial Training Ground of the Profound Empire no longer had any restrictions on the types of soldiers that could train in it. It could even train up to 20 million troops at the same time. According to Li Cheng's calculations, if he were to trigger a 10,000 times increase, he would definitely be able to max out the experience points in one wave. This meant that Li Cheng no longer needed to train his troops. Once he was able to train his troops, he would only need to throw them into the training grounds and reach the max level on the second day. This point was enough to make everyone envious. Meanwhile, the Imperial Library of the Profound Empire enabled him to study the skills of 3 troops at the same time. Li Cheng clicked on the Resident Heroes panel. The research efficiency was still the highest in Luna, followed by Lillian, and finally, Sylvia. Li Cheng thought for a moment and decided to let Lillian study the skills while Luna studied the various magic bonuses. Finally, it was the recruitment building, Profound Puppet Processing Factory that Li Cheng had obtained. He placed the building on his territory and instantly upgraded it to level 10. Profound Puppet Processing Factory. Description: the processing factory that produces profound puppets requires all kinds of crystals and various parts for the production. Level 10. Daily output 0/500. Production type: Profound Puppet, Crown. Production cost: 3,000 crystals, 30 fine steel short pipes, 3,000 profound gears. Production time: 30 seconds. Required level: Max. Similar to the Frost Dragons, the production requirements for the profound puppets were extremely harsh. It required a large number of crystals and other various parts. However, this was not a problem for Li Cheng. Naturally, he did not lack the crystals, and the materials would eventually fall into his hands with the use of gold coins. Fortunately, the materials needed to make the profound puppets were much more common. The various empires had all of these materials in their markets, but Li Cheng was too lazy to go over and get them. The various empires on the Lost Continent were generally hostile to each other, and their markets were not interconnected. In other words, if players wanted to search for a particular material, they might need to run a trade and constantly wander between cities. Naturally, Li Cheng had a countermeasure against this. He immediately announced a new trading item in the trading hall. The moment Li Cheng released the new item, the players squatting in the trading hall instantly noticed it and immediately caused a wave of commotion. F***CK, Netherworld Boss's trading hall has a new item, everyone. Let me see, what did Netherworld Boss list this time? What material is this? I seem to have seen this thing at a merchant's shop in a certain city. F***CK, guys, a steel short pipe costs 300 gold coins, but Netherworld Boss is paying 310 gold coins. Isn't this a huge profit? F***CK, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and sweep the goods. Gold coins were meaningless to Li Cheng. To him, they were just a string of numbers. Those players thought that they had found an opportunity to make a fortune. What they did not know was that they were just working for Li Cheng. In less than half an hour, Li Cheng had received a large number of materials, and they were continuously being sent to him. After seeing that the materials were complete, Li Cheng began the recruitment process. First, there were 500. After it was refreshed, there were another 500. Instantly, Li Cheng's territory had 1,005-meter-tall figures. Their bodies were all blue and they were flawless. However, they were several times shorter than the legendary profound puppets in the armory. Li Cheng checked the attributes of his second crown soldiers. Chapter 143, Profound Puppet, Setting up the Astral Portal. Profound Puppet. Description: a profound puppet made by a warlock from the Profound Empire. It is the most common soldier and has a good defense. Level 1. Attack 650 to 685. Defense 1250. Rank 13. Race, Structure. HP 350,000. Skill 1, Profound Body, Level Max. The body of the profound puppet is made of countless fluids. Normal physical attacks would not be able to deal any damage to it. Effect: physical damage reduction by 90%. Hint: the material of the profound puppet has reached its upper limit. Before the material is further improved, the physical damage reduction factor cannot be increased. Skill 2, Profound Reconstruction, Level Max. The profound puppet will not really die. As long as the core is still there, it can be reborn. Effect: when the profound puppet's HP drops to 10%, its body will disperse and turn into the profound puppet's core. After replenishing its energy, it will be revived with full HP. This skill has no cooldown time. After the profound puppet's core is destroyed, the profound puppet will be completely dead. Skill 3, Profound Transformation, Level Max. The profound puppet's body can transform, changing its size and shape at will. The range of transformation is determined by their overall energy. Current size, 5/200. Skill 4, Profound Drain, Level 1. Drains the energy in the core to deal damage to the target. Effect: deals physical and magic attack damage to up to 200 enemies. Morale, max. Loyalty, max. Energy consumption, 5,000 crystals per day. The attributes of the profound puppet were the same as what Li Cheng had seen on the forum in his previous life. Its positioning was very clear: they were meat shield soldiers. Moreover, they were top tier ones. At level 1, their initial HP was a full 350,000 points. This was already several times that of a normal crown soldier. It was also much more than the frost dragons. In addition to Li Cheng's profound armor, without special skills and equipment, even a crown soldier would not be able to break the defense of the profound puppet. Of course, there were gains and losses. Their attack power was very weak, the lowest among the crown soldiers. Nevertheless, it was still more than legendary soldiers. There was a big gap between legendary soldiers and crown soldiers. Compared to other soldiers, the skills of the profound puppets were also very powerful. They had a 90% reduction of any physical damage, and their regeneration skills were like the bane of physics. In addition to the skills of the profound armor, these attributes tickled Li Cheng's fancy. Their third skill was also very interesting. The profound puppets could change their size at will, which gave them a lot of flexibility. For example, if they went underground, the frost dragons would be affected by the terrain, but for the profound puppets, they could handle it easily as long as they changed their sizes. They could grow up to 200 meters tall and 150 meters in width. At this height, as long as dozens of profound puppets held hands and formed a circle, they would instantly become an extremely thick wall. The fourth skill could be considered a dispensable damage skill. The damage coefficient was relatively low, and the damage dealt was not very high. However, if Li Cheng had a series of buffs, he could still insta-kill some high-level troops. After closing the profound puppet's interface, Li Cheng casually waved his hand and told them to move to the side to await their orders. Then, Li Cheng took out the astral portal that he had kept in his backpack. He placed it in the southeast corner of his territory as it was still a relatively empty area with no buildings. Ding, dong, you're about to place the Mythicac grade astral portal. Once you place it down, you cannot undo it. Do you confirm? Confirm. Li Cheng nodded without thinking. Ding, dong, the mythical grade astral portal has been successfully placed. Boom. As the confirmation button was pressed, a loud sound came from his territory as the entire ground trembled a few times. Li Cheng narrowed his eyes and looked at the teleportation gate in front of him. At this time, the teleportation gate had already started to operate, emitting a faint blue fluorescence. He looked at the information of the teleportation gate. Astral portal, mythical. Description: an attack teleportation gate made by the automaton race. Its structure is stable, and it can defend against most attacks. At the same time, it can carry out large-scale teleportation. Level 1. Grade: mythical. Type: Mother Gate. HP: 100 billion/100 billion. Daily teleportation limit, 100 trillion. Number of subgates that can be arranged, 50 million. Energy consumption, 80 million/day. A mythical grade astral portal would require 80 million mana points per day. Even in the later stages of the game, it was not something that an ordinary player could afford. Li Cheng pressed the button to create a sub-portal, and the system's notification sounded in his ear. Ding, dong. You're about to consume 200,000 iron ores and 100,000 crystals to construct the sub-portal of the astral portal. Do you confirm? Confirm. Ding, dong. You've successfully constructed the sub-portal for the astral portal. As the system's voice fell, a small teleportation gate appeared in Li Cheng's backpack. With the sub-portal, the entire teleportation gate could be considered operational. Li Cheng thought for a moment. He needed to build sub-age portals in the City of Light, the Profound Armory, the Glittering Castle, and Tyavanna's underground city. In other words, he needed at least 4 of these sub-portals. Each sub-portal required 2 million crystals for maintenance mana every day. Naturally, the resources would be provided by Li Cheng himself. Li Cheng pondered for a moment and built 7 of them. 4 for the designated locations and the remaining 3 for emergencies. After all the new technologies were accounted for, Li Cheng looked at a blueprint that had been eating dust in his backpack. It was the Immortal Grade 9 Hammers of Doom's blueprint. The 9 Hammers of Doom was a very famous Immortal Grade equipment. As the natal weapon of the Dwarven Prince Lark, it played a very important role in the conquering of the 8 Gods Mountain in the future. Li Cheng naturally would not forget it. When he was trading with Immortal Sandy, he had bought enough materials because of his self-interest. At this time, he went to the Profound Empire's forging table. This was not the best, but it was still a high-level forging table. Li Cheng then chose to forge the weapon. At the same time, the voice of the system rang in his ears. Ding, dong, you're about to use the Profound Empire's forging table to forge the Immortal Grade 9 Hammers of Doom. Do you confirm? Confirm. As Li Cheng pressed the confirm button and placed the blueprint on the table, a rumbling sound erupted from the forging table. At the same time, mysterious and powerful auras instantly enveloped the entire territory. Chapter 144, Immortal Weapon, the 9 Hammers of Doom. Ding, dong, the Dwarf God Emperor is watching over your territory. Ding, dong, the Dwarf King of Smithing is watching over your territory. Ding, dong, the Goddess of Misfortune is watching over your territory. Your luck value has decreased by 1000 points. Ding, dong, the Goddess of Luck is watching over your territory. Your luck value has increased by 1000 points. Ding, dong. With the increase in Li Cheng's strength and Trella Fanny's godly power, he could now completely sense the auras of other gods. The moment he began to forge the 9 Hammer of Doom, countless gods looked over. Most of them were dwarven gods. Even dwarven god emperors appeared. As for the Goddess of Misfortune and the Goddess of Luck, when he heard the system mention these 2 goddesses, Li Cheng's mouth twitched. These 2 sisters were really bored to death, competing with each other everywhere they could. They had been killing each other for thousands of years, yet, they still had not had enough fun. Very quickly, in less than 5 seconds, Li Cheng felt the gazes of dozens of gods, from fishes and dragons, good, evil, and neutral. Thinking of this, Li Cheng's lips curled into a cold smile. The appearance of an immortal weapon would naturally attract the attention of countless people. However, they could only watch. Did they dare attack his territory? If they came, they would never go back. Li Cheng could not be bothered with them and continued forging. Ding, dong, you've started forging the Immortal Grade 9 Hammers of Doom. Ding, dong, the Immortal Grade 9 Hammers of Doom is being forged. Please, wait patiently. At this time, countless gods were paying close attention to Li Cheng's territory. Tisk, 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 to actually see someone forging the 9 hammers of doom is really rare. I remember the last time it should be about 800 years ago. He's just a kid who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. He'll definitely fail to forge it, and it's just going to be a waste of resources. That's right, the 9 hammers of doom was a supreme godly weapon that appeared since the beginning of the world. Even the dwarf god emperor did not succeed. Where did this human get his confidence from? His forging table seems to be from the profound empire. So what? The dwarves have the highest level forging table, but who has succeeded before? Countless gods were watching the show. If it was a normal immortal weapon, they would not be so shocked. However, it was the 9 hammers of doom. There was still some hidden plot behind it. This weapon was not designed by the dwarf god emperor. He had just obtained it by chance and shamelessly claimed it as his own. It was rumored that this was a supreme divine weapon from an ancient god. No one knew who had gotten the divine weapon or how it was passed on. Over countless years, many tried to forge it, but they all failed, and once the forging failed, the materials would not be returned. So much so that there was a saying among the gods that this 9 hammers of doom was a synonym for cheating oneself. Of course, whether it was Trelafani, Ella, or Li Cheng, none of them knew about these things from ancient times, and Li Cheng was too lazy to understand it in the first place. The reason was very simple: he did not think that he would fail. The next moment, a bright and intense rainbow light suddenly shone in Li Cheng's territory, and the system's rumbling notification sound suddenly rang in his ears. Ding, dong, the forging of the immortal grade 9 hammers of doom has succeeded. Ding, dong, the news of the birth of the immortal grade 9 hammers of doom has spread throughout the entire universe, and countless gods have begun to pay attention to your territory. Your reputation points have increased by 2 million. Ding, dong, you've triggered a 10,000 times increase. Your reputation points have increased by 20 billion. Ding, dong, warning. Countless evil gods are preparing to attack your territory. Please, get ready. At this moment, the countless gods who were paying attention to this place widened their eyes in disbelief. *CK, how's this possible? This kid actually succeeded. This light, such a powerful aura, it can't be wrong. He definitely succeeded. Hiss, who's this freak? This is the holy son of the moon dance girl. Keek, the 9 hammers of doom. Such a thing isn't something an ordinary person can possess. Such a treasure, let me take care of it for him. The success of forging the immortal 9 hammers of doom caused an earthquake amongst the gods. An immortal weapon was something that even the gods yearned for. And the absolute 9 hammers of doom was the supreme weapon amongst the list of immortal weapons. Hence, the gods were all filled with complex feelings. Li Cheng did not have much of a feeling toward his success. Was it not just a success? He had a mythical grade title and a 10,000 times amplification system. Could he ever fail? At this time, he looked at the newly made 9 hammers of doom. With just a casual glance, Li Cheng was stunned. He looked at a palm-sized mini hammer on the forging table, and it looked just like a pocket toy. Could this really be an immortal hammer? However, upon closer inspection, the patterns on it were complex and exquisite. Moreover, the hammer was strangely floating above Li Cheng's palm. Li Cheng used a detection spell and its attributes appeared in front of him. 9 hammers of doom, immortal. Description: at the beginning of the world, it was rumored that there was an extremely powerful god who used this hammer to defeat one of the 3 evil gods. It was rumored that only extremely lucky people could use it. Once it has recognized its master, the 9 hammers would be strengthened along with its master's strength. Grade: Immortal, Tier 9. Type: Special Equipment, does not occupy the equipment column. Level: 1. Location: Weapon. Attack: 3000 Intelligence. Attribute 1, Magic Attack plus 1000%. Attribute 2, Meteor Hammer. The 9 deadly hammers isn't an ordinary weapon. It can search for enemies on its own. Effect: deals intelligence x 3000 damage to 10 enemies in its surroundings every second. Attribute 3, highest transformation, the 9 Hammers of Doom can change its size at will. It is related to the user's divine power. Current size, 1, minimum state. Attribute 4, 9 Hammers of Doom, when all units attack, there is a chance to trigger special effects. Effect: when attacking, there is a 10% chance to stun, imprison, confuse, freeze, poison, and burn the enemy for 9 seconds. Effect: when attacking, there is a 10% chance to make the enemy vulnerable and slower by 99% for 9 seconds. Effect: when attacking, there is a 10% chance to cause 99 damage to the enemy. Attribute 5, God-killing hammers, insufficient divine power, unable to view. Attribute 6, Hammer of Chaos, insufficient divine power, unable to view. Chapter 145, Little Loli, I want to move. Once Li Cheng finished reading the attributes of the 9 Hammers of Doom, he gasped again. This was too ridiculous. Li Cheng felt that he had sucked in more cold air that day than all the other days combined. He had thought this hammer was merely a warrior's hammer. He did not expect it to be such a special weapon. It did not take up any of the equipment slots as well, which made it pretty good. It was equivalent to having one extra weapon than others. The weapon's attributes could only be described as ridiculous. It was indeed a little too abnormal. The magic damage was increased by 10 times. The weapon's attack method was also very special. It would float directly next to Li Cheng and automatically attack the enemy, killing 10 units in 1 second. Although this number did not seem to be much, its damage coefficient was too terrifying. Moreover, the highest transformation actually required divine power to activate. Li Cheng understood this. Many immortal-grade equipment came from a god's hand. Naturally, divine power would be needed to activate them. However, there were a few skills that needed Li Cheng to become a god for him to see the effects. This was a bit of a pity. What Li Cheng cared about the most was its namesake attack, the 9 Hammers of Doom. The description of the effects was very long. When Li Cheng saw it, he was dazzled. In general, the attributes were all maxed out, and it was as if he had all kinds of debuffs. In the end, there was a chance to trigger 99 times the damage. If it was triggered, it would be an instant kill. The most ridiculous thing was that the weapon could also actually grow according to Li Cheng's strength. Such equipment was incredibly rare, and it could definitely be used until the end of time. In the following period of time, Li Cheng prepared to plant some crops first. He originally wanted to explore the surrounding areas of the territory. After all, there were still quite a number of wild monster domains around. However, a wave of actions in the shadow world had completely depleted his resources. Nevertheless, he did not need to worry about that. The number of his troops had to be increased, and their skills also needed to be upgraded. There was still quite a big difference between max level and level 1 skills. When he thought of this, Li Cheng ordered Luna to go and research some magic. As for Sylvia, she was sent out to run errands, going to the few designated places to set up the sub-portals. As for the sub-portals that needed to be set up in the Underdark region, Li Cheng was prepared to go with Lillian personally. Li Cheng's mobility had always been very strong. Once he thought of a task, he would immediately do it. Hence, as Luna and Sylvia went to complete their tasks, Li Cheng and Lillian embarked on their journey to the Underdark. When they arrived at the Underdark, what surprised Li Cheng was that Tyavanna's underground city was already on the verge of collapse. Countless dark elf troops were attacking her underground city when he got there. There was a dense mass of heads. If it was not for the fact that her maze was reasonably complex, it would have been broken through by the dark elves long ago. Tyavanna's was so anxious that she almost ran away. Seeing this scene, Li Cheng naturally would not just stand by and watch. Tyavanna's was his slave, which meant that she was part of his army. Attacking her underground city meant attacking his own territory. With a wave of his hand, countless heavenly knights and shadow assassins began a new round of slaughter. When Tyavanas saw Li Cheng, she was so angry that she almost stomped her feet as she roared, "What kind of existence did you provoke?" Li Cheng shrugged indifferently at her angry roar and said, "It's just a medium-sized dark elf city. Its population is only a few tens of billions." The corner of Tyavanas's mouth twitched when she heard this. If it was in the past, she would have been able to flatten such a city easily. Now, however, she only had a few thousand soldiers. How could she withstand it? When she thought of this, the little Loli almost flew into a rage. She said, "I want to move." Li Cheng ignored her and placed the sub-portal down on the ground. Ding, dong. You've placed the sub-portal of the astral portal down. Boom. The 3-meter-high portal almost stuck the ceiling of the underground city. When she saw the portal, Tyavanas's eyes lit up. With her experience, she naturally knew that this was a mythical-grade portal. Then, Li Cheng brought out 3,000 profound energy cannons. Seeing Li Cheng's handiwork, Tyavanas was shocked. "This is..." She blinked her big eyes in shock. As an underground city, the defense facilities that could be constructed were very limited. The most common defense towers were usually not usable here due to the limitations of their height. Generally speaking, they needed some special custom-made facilities. For example, Tyavanas's previous defense towers had cost a lot of money and were made by a legendary grade construction master. Of course, these things were all blasted into powder by Li Cheng. As for the profound energy cannon, one of its great features was that as long as there was a wall, it could be fixed into it. When Tyavanas saw these profound energy cannons, she was afraid that Li Cheng would go back on his words, so she immediately put away all 3,000 cannons. Li Cheng looked at her actions and laughed. He asked teasingly, "Are you still moving?" Tyavanas blinked her innocent eyes and asked, "Hee, your human ears aren't good enough. Did I say I was moving?" Li Cheng rolled his eyes speechlessly as he thought about this little Loli. She was not tall, and her face was not big either. How could she be so thick-skinned? What happened to the grace of the Demon King's daughter? 3,000 legendary-grade defensive facilities had made the little Loli's confidence explode. At this time, Lillian had already killed most of the dark elves in the maze. Li Cheng continued, "Tyavanas, with this portal, you can come to my territory at any time to ask for help. However, you have to come on your own." Hearing this, Tyavanas, who was on guard, hugged her chest. "Why?" Looking at her expression, Li Cheng rolled his eyes. "I can't afford demons being seen on my territory." At this stage, his relationship with Tyavanas could not be made public. He had to protect his identity as a divine earl. Tyavanas herself was a vampire with the highest bloodline. If she wanted to, she could conceal all information about herself at any time. Speaking up to this point, Li Cheng did not waste any more time with her and immediately gave her a few orders. Chapter 146, The Brown Bear Alliance and the Alliance Army. First, her dungeon was about to enter a wild expansion phase. With Li Cheng backing her up, she did not have to worry about anything. Then, Li Cheng brought her up to level 5 within a month. At the same time, he destroyed all the dark elf cities around her. This was also a test for her, for if she did not have the ability to do this, Li Cheng really needed to consider someone else. Hearing Li Cheng's words, the little Loli snorted lightly. According to what he said, Li Cheng was looking down on her too much. Tyavanas clenched her fists tightly. If she had so many resources, she could expand without restraint. Her speed of development was definitely something that Li Cheng could not understand. Another benefit of Li Cheng supporting Tyavanas was that Trelafani could develop her own church without any worry. Once Tyavanas became stronger, Trelafani's church would be able to openly move to the dark regions. With a witch protecting her, who would she need to be afraid of? After returning to his territory, Li Cheng ordered the heroes to enter their research posts. In a few minutes, the system notification rang in Li Cheng's ears. World announcement. With the joint efforts of all the players, the overall goal of the current large-scale event, Shadow Crisis, has been completed. World announcement. The rewards of the large-scale event will be distributed to all the players. The rewards are being calculated. Please, wait patiently. Ding, dong, the calculation of the rewards has been completed. Ding, dong, all the players who participated in the event will receive 2,000 gold coins and 20,000 basic resources. Ding, dong, due to the weak participation of the White Elephant Alliance, players from this alliance are unable to receive the reward. Ding, dong, due to the weak participation of the Universe Alliance, players from this alliance are unable to receive the reward. Ding, dong, due to the weak participation of the 100 Flowers Alliance, players from this alliance are unable to receive the reward. Ding, dong, due to the weak participation of the Eagle Alliance, players from this alliance are unable to receive the reward. Ding, dong. Ding, dong, the current ranking list is being calculated. Ding, dong. Ding, dong, the players from the Divine Dragon Alliance are ranked first in the alliance list. This reward is hereby given to all players from the Divine Dragon Alliance. After the event ends, the attack and defense stats of your army will be increased by 50% for 7 days. The series of notifications from the system rang for a full minute. When the players heard it, they were all stunned for a moment before they quickly reacted. For this large-scale event, Li Cheng was practically the only one who stood out. Up until now, his total shadow points had already reached 70 trillion. If all the other players added up their points and doubled it, it would still be less than 1/10,000 of his. This caused all the players from the other alliances to miss out on the rewards. One had to know that the system had determined that the alliances with too few points could not receive any rewards. In other words, for this large-scale event, other than the experience points from killing monsters and the items exchanged for points, the players from the other alliances did not receive any rewards at all. However, the players from the Divine Dragon Alliance were different. Each of them received 2,000 gold coins and 20,000 basic resources. It did not seem like a lot, but the Divine Dragon Alliance had the most players in Tribe and other online games. As long as one converted it, one would know that this number was extremely large. After 7 days, the progress of the players from the Divine Dragon Alliance would definitely surpass that of the other alliances by a large margin. The players would definitely be happy to see such an outcome. All of them were laughing their heads off while the unaffiliated players or ordinary players of the other alliances were very depressed. This caused quite a number of people to call for the official development of a way to jump alliances. However, it was too late for regrets. Some players of the Divine Dragon Alliance had jumped to other alliances before. Now, their guts were filled with regret. No one knew that the Divine Dragon Alliance would gain Netherworld and that he would be able to change the entire situation of the alliances by himself. Ha ha ha, I'm rich, I'm rich. The currency exchange system will be activated in a few days. 2,000 gold coins can be sold for at least $3,000. Netherworld, boss, I love you so much. Netherworld boss, my eternal idol. If there was no Netherworld in this wave, there wouldn't be such a result. Hehe, I don't care about the rewards. I'm happy that the players from the other alliances don't have any. Ha ha ha, who says? One of my brothers is from the Brown Bear Alliance. I really regret not choosing the Divine Dragon Alliance back then. I was just too afraid of being beaten up in the Divine Dragon Alliance. What's there to be afraid of? Why should I be afraid of being targeted when I'm just playing a game? If that's the case, I should go home, find my mom, and stuff her back into the furnace. Ha ha ha, you're so mean. The players from the other alliances had dark expressions on their faces. After all, Li Cheng's points were too high, which led the system to judge that the players from the other alliances were all fishing in the water. Even the Brown Bear Alliance, which had maintained a good relationship with the Divine Dragon Alliance, did not receive any rewards. Countless players from the other alliances were criticizing Li Cheng. Regardless of whether they had a good impression of him before, they did not have a good impression of him now. They even threatened to block Li Cheng's door in the real world and beat him up. In the Brown Bear Alliance, an extremely burly man was also roaring, F***ck, damn the Divine Dragon Alliance. They actually made us lose all our rewards. Hearing his angry roar, his countless subordinates immediately echoed. Boss, the Divine Dragon Alliance has been rising recently. It seems that they've forgotten who was the one who allied with them when they were targeted by other alliances. That's right. They took all the benefits for themselves. We must teach them a lesson this time. Everyone knows that the Divine Dragon Alliance has the most people, but their strength has always been neither good nor bad. It seems like we have to make them suffer this time. Just as they were discussing, a subordinate suddenly said, Boss, Eve from the Eagle Alliance sent us a message. She wants to invite us to join the Anti-Netherworld Alliance. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. After all, the Eagle Alliance and the Brown Bear Alliance were mortal enemies. When the Eagle Alliance was targeting the Divine Dragon Alliance, the Brown Bear Alliance had formed an alliance with the Divine Dragon Alliance because they were unhappy with the Eagle Alliance. Hearing this, the burly man frowned. Anti-Netherworld Alliance. Eve said that it's an alliance army against Netherworld and the Divine Dragon Alliance, the subordinate continued. The burly man laughed coldly and said, Hee, the Eagle Alliance is far away, so of course, they're not afraid. Our territory borders the Divine Dragon Alliance. If we anger them, we'll have to bear their wrath. But we can't let Netherworld go on like this. Tell Eve that the Brown Bear Alliance has joined this alliance army. Chapter 147, Settlement of Event Rewards. Li Cheng did not know about the Brown Bear Alliance's decision. The system's voice was still ringing in his ears. Ding, dong. You've triggered a 10,000 times increase and obtained 20 million gold coins and 200 million basic resources. Ding, dong, you've triggered a 10,000 times increase and obtained this reward. After the event ends, all your troops' attack and defense stats will be increased by 1000% for 7 days. Ding, dong, you're ranked first on the individual leaderboard. You've triggered a 10,000 times increase and obtained a mythical grade Shadow Maze. Ding, dong, you've received the diamond grade title, Planar Killer, because of your high damage ratio in this large-scale event. Ding, dong, you've triggered a 10,000 times increase and obtained the mythical grade title, Planar God Slayer. Ding, dong, you've achieved your Holy War goal. Your performance in this Holy War is perfect. Your score is SSS. Ding, dong. You've triggered a 10,000 times increase and obtained 3 billion Church of Light contribution points. You have the right to choose your divine territory. Ding, dong. As the system's voice fell, Li Cheng rubbed his ears. He did not care about the resources that the system had rewarded him. What Li Cheng cared about was that his stats had been increased by 1000%. In other words, 7 days after the event ended, his troops would have 10 times the attack and defense. This was not limited to the Shadow World. Hence, it could be said that it was a very strong buff. At this moment, Li Cheng's gaze fell on the newly obtained equipment. He took out a small piece of light grey crystal cube from his backpack that was filled with a large amount of dense fog. Li Cheng looked at its attributes. Shadow Maze, Mythical. Description: a secret region created by the Shadow World's origin energy. Even a legendary grade powerhouse would lose their sense of direction in it. Level: Myth. Level 9. Type: Special equipment, can only be placed in the territory. Level 1. Attributes: creates a maze. Anyone below the mythical grade will lose their sense of direction in it. Fog range: 0/20 billion cells. Li Cheng's pupils shrank again. The description of the shadow maze was very simple. It was just a line of words, but Li Cheng could already feel how powerful it was. It was a level 9 mythical grade item, comparable to an immortal weapon. The effect of the shadow maze could only be described as ridiculous. All units below mythical grade would lose their way in it. What did this mean? This meant that as long as the enemy was not of mythical grade and above, and as long as he set up the shadow maze, the enemy would not be able to get close to his territory and could only get lost in the illusory maze. Li Cheng could let them go in circles. Moreover, this maze had no restrictions. He could also use defensive buildings to attack his enemies. It was simply ridiculous. Thinking of this, Li Cheng did not hesitate to place the shadow maze in his territory. Instantly, the light grey crystal cube merged into the Lord's Hall and disappeared. In the next moment, endless light grey fog appeared and spread out around his territory. The visible range was reduced to 1 meter. Even in the shadow world, it was not this exaggerated. Following that, he checked the new title he was given. Planar God Slayer, Mythical. Description: this title records the story of you slaughtering evil creatures in the shadow world. You have enough adaptability to unfamiliar planes. Grade: only hidden. Effect: in a special plane map, damage plus 500%. A mythical title gave him a ridiculous increase in damage. Although it would only be effective in a special plane map, there were still a lot of activities and hidden quests to do when leaving the main plane. Therefore, this title was quite useful. Li Cheng could also kill his way to other planes and conquer some smaller planes. This was what most players would do in the later stages of the game. After all, there were countless planes in this universe, but the number of races was more than the total number of humans. In the later stages of the game, players would plunder other planes, gaining a huge amount of resources or conquering the creatures within them and turning them into slaves. No matter what they did, the rewards were extremely generous, and crossing planes required special mobility tools. When he thought of this, Li Cheng touched his chin and said thoughtfully, "Maybe I can go and conquer some planes in advance." Finally, there was the reward for completing the Holy War. This Holy War was completely led by Li Cheng alone. After the perfect SSS rating, the benefits would be more than just contribution points. First was the reputation of the church. A newly promoted earl could actually complete such a difficult Holy War. It was enough to attract the attention of the entire church's higher UPS. Li Cheng's authority in the church was undoubtedly increased by another wave. As for the priority of choosing a divine territory as mentioned by the system, in the rules of the Church of Light, the church would allocate divine territories to nobles who had made outstanding contributions. Divine territories were very powerful. This meant that the ownership of the territories belonged to the Church of Light. If anyone attacked, they would be declaring war on the entire Church of Light. Moreover, they would become sworn enemies of the Church, so the Church of Light would definitely go all out to crusade against them. Because of this, divine territories became an existence that no one dared to take a step into. Moreover, it also had countless privileges. Whether it was the output of resource points, the durability of buildings, the attributes of soldiers, or the attributes of defensive buildings, these series of bonuses were like cheats. One day's development could completely surpass the other players for 4 to 5 days. How could the other players compete? And the so-called priority to choose meant that Li Cheng could choose his territory first. Li Cheng vaguely remembered that in his previous life, the contribution points needed to exchange for a divine territory were in the trillions, which meant no player could exchange for it. He could only drool when he read the introduction on the official website. However, for the current Li Cheng, there was no problem at all. When he thought of this, he muttered, "Looks like I'll have to go and argue with the Archbishop." At this moment, Li Cheng had already counted all the rewards. Overall, it was not bad. The large-scale events had made him completely rich. At this time, Pearl was slowly returning to her territory with her troops. Her beautiful face was cold. However, a few days ago, her face was even more cold and murderous. Li Cheng said to the paladins who had been recruited, "You guys return to the City of Light to report on your mission." "Yes, Your Excellency." The paladins bowed to Li Cheng. They were now completely convinced by this newly promoted Earl. Chapter 148, The First Vassal Race. After these paladins finished speaking, they entered the portal one by one. Now, Li Cheng's territory was already connected to the City of Light's portal. Then, Li Cheng looked at the pearl and said, "These are 3 types of high-level soldiers. You can use them." These 3 types of soldiers were obtained directly from the Profound Empire's database. Their ranks were at Tier 8 and Tier 9, which were considered pretty good. The meat shield soldiers, DPS units, and healers could be said to be very useful soldiers. Pearl nodded and took them. Up until now, she did not know how to reject Li Cheng's generosity. Just as Pearl was about to say something, Li Cheng continued, "Go all out and be a violent soldier. Your talent should come in handy." Hearing this, Pearl nodded obediently. All right. Pearl was an S-class talent, which meant she had 10 times the population and 10 times the recruitment speed of normal players. As long as she had the recruitment authority, it would be as easy as breathing for her to explode with her brute force. Following that, Li Cheng took out all the tokens from his backpack. These items can be exchanged for contribution points in the Church of Light. After that, you can go and exchange for a noble title. Although she could not exchange for any high titles just yet, Pearl's identity would change once she had a title. Then, it would be easier for her to do things in the future. Pearl accepted all of them. She hesitated for a moment before saying, "Thank you, Master." Hearing this, Li Cheng shook his head. With an indifferent expression, he lifted her delicate chin and said, "This is just a transaction. You must know that what I get in return is all of you." When Pearl heard this, she did not say anything and simply smiled sweetly. At this moment, the system's voice suddenly rang in Li Cheng's ear. "Ding, dong, a new person wants to join your territory." Oh? Hearing the system's notification, Li Cheng was stunned. Previously, the system had indeed notified him that there was a new person who wanted to join his territory, but when he returned to his territory, he did not see anyone. Now, it seemed that the people who wanted to join his territory had been packing up their things. Li Cheng was also curious as to what kind of people wanted to join his territory. When he thought of this, Li Cheng led his heroes to the city gate. When they were still some distance away from the city gate, Li Cheng heard some chattering sounds. "Woo woo woo, it's all grey here. I'm a little scared." "Yes, but I heard that Netherworld is kind-hearted and he's the holy son of the moon dance goddess. I believe he'll be easy to talk to." "Why have I heard different? I heard that this Netherworld kills people without batting an eye, instantly killing billions of troops. There are only a few people among us. Will he kill us immediately?" "Those are bad people, you big idiot. They're all bad people. They deserve to die." When he heard these words, Li Cheng's footsteps paused and his face was immediately filled with black lines. He could somewhat guess what race it was now, and even his footsteps to the city gates slowed down quite a bit. A minute later, Li Cheng and his heroines arrived at the city gates. Now, he could clearly see the source of the voices. It was a group of forest treants. They had the heads and arms of elves and the bodies of deers. Their large eyes revealed a gentle and peaceful gaze. However, as troops, they had well-trained techniques and wielded javelins. Seeing Li Cheng come out, a treant with an obviously longer and more exquisite face walked out. The ID on her head said she was called Beatrice. When Beatrice felt Li Cheng's gaze on her, she immediately trembled. However, she still mustered up her courage and said to Li Cheng, "That Netherworld Overlord, we hope to become your subordinate race. But there are countless evil centaurs attacking our territory. After joining your territory, we hope that you can help us deal with them. If you agree, Lord Netherworld, my sisters and I are willing to sacrifice our lives for you." After her soft and gentle voice fell, the system's mechanical voice immediately rang in Li Cheng's ears. "Ding, dong, do you accept the request of the Forest Treant clan? Hint. If you agree, there will be 68,500,000 centaurs attacking your territory soon." Hearing her words, Li Cheng felt a little confused. A race moving into a lord's territory was something that he had never encountered in his 2 lifetimes. As for the Forest Treants, they were not that strong. Many of them were middle-tier soldiers. Even if they were elite, they would only graze the borders of being high-tier soldiers. On top of that, they had very few attacking methods. Normally, they would simply smear some poison on their spears before throwing them. Beatrice, who was in front of them, was evidently the leader of this group of Forest Treants. She was only a level 40 epic grade boss. In front of him, she was just a weakling. However, there were still quite a number of them, at least tens of millions. This number of soldiers was not bad even if they were used as cannon fodder. If this were any other species, Li Cheng would have agreed immediately. The problem was that this group of Forest Treants was famous for being talkative. They could talk for 25 hours a day. Even when they were sleeping, they would still be talking. Li Cheng thought about it and finally agreed. This was also a signal for the other species, telling them that Li Cheng welcomed workers here, or rather, weak species. It would be known that Li Cheng, Lord Netherworld, was so kind that he could provide protection for the weaker species. Hence, he agreed. As for the centaurs that Beatrice mentioned, they were all trash in Li Cheng's eyes. Even if the centaur god came personally, Li Cheng would scatter his ashes. With Li Cheng's agreement, the system's voice rang in Li Cheng's ears. "Ding, dong, the Forest Treant clan has become your vassal race. Ding, dong, you can adjust your policy towards your vassal races. Ding, dong, the Centaur clan has already regarded you as their mortal enemy and will attack your territory in the near future. Ding, dong, as the first player in the world to have a vassal race, I hereby reward you 100 reputation points. Ding, dong, you've triggered a 10,000 times increase and obtained 100,000 reputation points." Chapter 149, Infiltrating the Church of Darkness. In Tribe, the vassal races and vassal lords were the same. In short, they had no human rights. Li Cheng could take their resources at any time and he could even force them to work and fight. Of course, Li Cheng was still quite humane. In the future, these workers would only work 15 hours a day. However, these naive and carefree workers obviously did not think too much about it. They were all immersed in the joy of getting rid of the Centaur clan and their chatterbox nature immediately emerged. Hehe, Lord Netherworld's really great. Yes, we've finally gotten rid of that group of centaurs. Yet, I don't have to worry about being interrupted while singing in the future. Oh right, can we continue with our singing competition then? I think we can. Hearing them chattering non-stop, the veins on Li Cheng's forehead throbbed. Singing competition. Oh my god. Right now, Li Cheng was thinking about whether he should have them work 25 hours a day so that they would not keep chattering non-stop. He took a few deep breaths and let Pearl take away these chirping deers. Pearl wanted to say something but stopped herself. She was a cold person and usually kept to herself. Hence, these deer also gave her a headache. However, Li Cheng's dignity was on the line, so Pearl had to do as she was told. After settling these deer, Li Cheng heard the system notification. There were a few large clans that seemed to want to cooperate with him. For example, the Dwarves' King Butcher. In the high mountains in the north, he was a mythical grade powerhouse. He had countless elite soldiers under his command and could be considered one of the stronger forces among the dwarves. The most famous was the group of dwarf butchers. It could be said that they were the craziest army of berserkers on the Lost Continent. Moreover, these dwarves also had countless dark technologies of their own, such as planes and tanks powered by crystals. The Star Elves were also a very powerful race. According to Li Cheng's knowledge, these Star Elves were the native elves of the Lost Continent. In the current Elven Empire, the Sun Elves accounted for 80% of the population, but in actual fact, the Sun Elves came from other planes and seemed to have been summoned by a god. At the same time, countless gods wanted to give Li Cheng some hidden missions. Li Cheng naturally could not be bothered with them. Li Cheng was now a popular person on the main plane. Naturally, the gods would start trying to snatch him up. All of this was because Trelafani was too weak. If he was the holy son of other powerful gods, those gods would not have such thoughts. All in all, his reputation value was quite useful. Now, even if Li Cheng went to any human kingdom, he could exchange for a good title. He could even obtain a large city. With a population of tens of millions, he directly surpassed the players by a large margin. In other words, Li Cheng's current reputation points were enough to surpass the players by a few hundred miles. Of course, Li Cheng did not have the intention of marrying into these kingdoms. He had long disregarded some human empires. His target was the god of slaughter. At this moment, Li Cheng looked around at his troops. He was prepared to enter the shadow world again. In the shadow world, his troops have been enjoying a few terrifying buffs. Just their attack power alone had multiplied by more than 30 times. With such a powerful buff, it would be a waste if he did not use it. Hence, Li Cheng led all his troops toward the south. The goddess of darkness had entered a hostile state with him. When dealing with enemies, Li Cheng naturally wanted to pit her against him. Thinking of this, he led his troops toward the south. Along the way, he met other alliance players and troops. Most of them were from the White Elephant Alliance, the Universe Alliance, and the 100 Flowers Alliance. They had been chased to the south of the teleportation portal by the Divine Dragon Alliance players. When they encountered the terrifying monsters in the south, they stopped and waited to die. The only way to die here was to starve to death, which a large number of troops had almost achieved. Li Cheng naturally chose to kill these people. As the army went deeper south, they did not encounter any other players. Instead, they encountered large numbers of high-level monsters. Suddenly, Li Cheng felt an extremely evil and cold aura. At the same time, the system notification rang. Ding, dong, you've entered an extremely dangerous area. Please, be careful. Ding, dong. As the system's voice was heard, Li Cheng narrowed his eyes and looked at the scene in front of him. In the faint fog, from afar, it seemed like there was an extremely tall building that was hidden. When he saw this building, Li Cheng did not hesitate and immediately led his troops over. After about 20 minutes, Li Cheng finally got a clear view of the entire building. It was a very majestic altar with pitch-black stone pillars that pierced into the sky, emitting a terrifying and powerful aura. After a few more minutes, he suddenly saw countless troops dressed in black robes. Li Cheng immediately cast a scouting spell and the information of these troops appeared in front of him. 23,500,000 advanced guards of the Church of Darkness, Level 8. 1246000 Advanced Marshals of the Church of Darkness, Level 9. 8 million Dark Knights of the Church of Darkness, Level 10. 25 million Dark Demon Statues of the Church of Darkness, Level 10. Seeing this information, Li Cheng's eyes lit up. He had found the right place. This was indeed one of the churches of the Church of Darkness, and there were tens of millions of believers hidden here. Even Li Cheng could not help but be a little surprised. More than 10 million of them were legendary soldiers. The Dark Knights were well-known legendary soldiers of the Church of Darkness. They were comprehensive soldiers. Whether it was in terms of damage output or survivability, they were all pretty good. As for the Dark Demon statues, they were war machines produced by the Church of Darkness and were made of very special materials that made them good meat shield soldiers. Moreover, the ranks of the soldiers here were not low. Li Cheng narrowed his eyes slightly. Seeing so many troops, there must be something special hidden here. Otherwise, why would there be so many troops here? Hence, Li Cheng did not launch an attack immediately. Instead, he quietly led the troops into the interior of the church to find out what secrets were hidden within it. Chapter 150, Hourglass of Time? In the depths of the Church of Darkness, two men dressed in black robes were in the middle of a discussion. The lords of the other world are simply trash. There are so many troops, but they can't even take down a divine earl. I really don't know what they're doing. Hehe, this earl isn't a simple character. I heard that even Priest Joyce died in his territory. Are you serious? Joyce is a veteran priest of our church, and he actually fell? He died at the hands of a human. No matter what, our mission now is to get this immortal weapon. If we succeed, the goddess will definitely reward us. Hearing their discussion, Li Cheng's eyelids twitched. As expected, he had found it strange before. The Shadow World was filled with danger. How did the White Elephant Alliance, the Universe Alliance, the 100 Flowers Alliance, and other fortuitous players find the portal to leave? With their strength, marching in the Shadow World was simply courting death. They should have been eaten by wild monsters long ago. Now, there was an explanation for all this. It turned out that it was the Church of Darkness's doing. As for the Kobold God, he was trash in front of the Goddess of Darkness. If the Goddess of Darkness had any orders, would he have the guts to refuse? He was probably treated as cannon fodder by her. Regarding this, Li Cheng's mind instantly reacted. There was an immortal weapon here? One had to know that immortal weapons were extremely rare. Some extremely weak gods did not even have one, even after becoming gods. Like his own goddess as an example. Trelafani was even more trash than Ella. Ella at least had an immortal mask. Even though it was useless apart from hiding information, it was at least an immortal item. Thinking of this, Li Cheng did not bother to waste his breath on them. Since he had discovered this piece of information, it was his. He immediately ordered his troops to focus their fire on these two figures. All the troops attacked at the same time. The arrows of the Frost Marksmen, the Dragon's Breath of the Frost Dragons, the charge of the Heavenly Knights. Ding, dong, your troops have killed the legendary Great Dark Priest Loli. You've obtained 40 million shadow points. You've also triggered a 10,000 times increase and obtained 400 million shadow points. Ding, dong, your troops have killed the legendary Great Dark Priestess Mangdalay. You've obtained 40 million shadow points. You've also triggered a 10,000 times increase and obtained 400 million shadow points. Ding, dong, your profound puppet has leveled up. Currently, it's at level 2. Ding, dong, your profound puppet has leveled up. Currently, it's at level 3. Ding, dong. Ding, dong, your profound puppet has leveled up. Currently, it's at level 100. Ding, dong, you've killed a priest of the Goddess of Darkness. Her favorability with you has permanently been reduced by 200 points. She'll remain your enemy forever. As the system's voice fell, the two legendary bosses did not react at all. Their HP bars were completely emptied, which was no surprise to Li Cheng at all. If they could not even kill a legendary boss with the current multiplier, they should just go home and sleep. Killing these two high-level legendary bosses had instantly maxed out the levels of HIS 1000 profound puppets. Their current defense and health had reached a terrifying level. At this moment, countless followers dressed in black robes rushed over from all directions, instantly surrounding Li Cheng's troops. Without any nonsense, a myriad of attacks was launched at Li Cheng's troops, and in an instant, countless pitch-black fireballs were the first to hit them. However, what happened next left them dumbfounded. Immune. 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 Countless notifications popped up. The oracle who was commanding the troops also widened his eyes. What was going on? He was a Tier 9 soldier that was close to the maximum level. The ceiling of his high-level soldiers and the equipment columns were filled with diamond-grade equipment. Yet, they were immune to the attacks. In response, Li Cheng only sneered. With the profound armor, Li Cheng's troops were immune to the attacks of high-level soldiers. The only ones that could deal damage to them were probably the Dark Knights. However, how much damage the Dark Knights could cause to Li Cheng's troops was also a mystery. Li Cheng did not care about the situation on the battlefield. He signaled for the heroes to do their own thing. Then, he picked up the spoils of war on the ground with an indifferent expression. Ding, dong, you've triggered a 10,000 times increase and obtained the spoils of war, a mythical grade Dark Force staff. Ding, dong, you've triggered a 10,000 times increase and obtained the spoils of war, a mythical grade Dark Force shield. Ding, dong, you've triggered a 10,000 times increase and obtained the spoils of war, mysterious sand. Ding, dong. With the two legendary bosses and Li Cheng's own luck value, the loot that dropped was naturally not bad. Dark Force Staff, mythical. Dark Force Shield, myth. 2 Church of Darkness High Priest uniforms, mythical. Church of Darkness Secret Key, number 15. Church of Darkness Secret Key, number 6. 100,000 Church of Darkness tokens. Mysterious sand. Seeing this last message, Li Cheng's eyelids twitched. The system displayed a series of question marks. What was going on? This was the first time Li Cheng had encountered something like this, so he was naturally a little confused. When he saw this, he quickly opened his backpack to take a look. Inside the backpack was an extremely ordinary pile of sand. It was as if someone had randomly picked it up from the side of the road. Mysterious sand. Description: looks like the most ordinary sand. No idea what it can do. Level: 1. Grade: unknown. Effect: after use, it speeds up the repair progress of the Hourglass of Time by 0.5%. Its grade was unknown? Li Cheng's eyelids twitched again. Such an item was really unheard of. Moreover, what the hell was this Hourglass of Time? Li Cheng had never heard of this item in his previous life, so he chose to use it. Ding, dong. You've successfully used the mysterious sand and triggered a 10,000 times increase. The repair progress for the Hourglass of Time has been increased by 100%. Ding, dong. Congratulations on successfully repairing the Hourglass of Time. As the system's voice fell, a gentle and mysterious ball of golden light slowly floated down from the sky. Li Cheng gently outstretched his hand and the ball of light fell into it. In the next moment, the light dissipated and a small, exquisite hourglass-like object appeared in his hand. Li Cheng did not hesitate to check its attributes.